63-year-old pastor Oluwole Jonathan, shepherd of Christ Apostolic Church, Land of Mercy, has been sentenced to 21 years in prison for defiling a 12-year-old girl. The crime, which occurred 2.5 years ago in Atta, resulted in the victim becoming a mother at age 13. The tragedy began over 1,500 naira needed for a textbook. The victim, identified as Blessing, was standing outside her home when Pastor Jonathan, a trusted neighbor, invited her into his apartment to rest. The apartment also served as his church premises. Blessing recounted the ordeal, stating the pastor convinced her to take a liquid after she complained of a headache. "He forced me to take it. After I drank it, I slept off," she whispered. She awoke to find blood in her private part. The pastor then threatened her with death if she told anyone. Her mother discovered the pregnancy months later after a neighbor raised concerns. A hospital confirmed the primary 6 pupil was 5 months pregnant. The mother described the diagnosis as a dagger to my heart. The father, an electrician, reported the matter to the CDA and police. Pastor Jonathan, initially denying the crime, was confirmed as the baby's father by DNA samples. The case was taken up pro bono by the International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, in Ogun State. After months of hearings, the High Court in Ilaro found Jonathan guilty of defilement in January 2025, sentencing him to 21 years. The family has since relocated to Ifo to escape trauma and stigma. The young mother continues to suffer from strange behavioral patterns. She often strays from home and hears a voice telling her to leave school, forcing her father to enroll her in a tailoring apprenticeship nearby. Really, really sad and disturbing. Let's talk about it. What are your thoughts on this report?
I'm so sorry that this have to happen to an innocent girl. I mean, she was the victim of a pedophile. Obviously, the man is a pedophile. For me, that's the title he deserves, other than any other thing people call him. I also think that that child was not probably properly rehabilitated. Because from this thing, it suggests a kind of mental issue. I don't know what the parents and neighbors will say. Maybe they'll see it as something spiritual, but I think it may be spiritual. I don't know, especially since a religious person is involved. But I think they would be better seeking some medical help. Maybe there will be need for rehabilitating that child. Maybe meet a child psychologist or something, or a psychiatric home. Where the services can be provided. I'm not so sure what the situation is, but obviously that child is in danger beyond having a child at this age. I mean, situations that could make her stray off the house. She could also stray into danger. She could stray into, she can become a victim of, a careless driver or something. Even a place like Ogun State, where common for, sorry to say, ritualists and all that. So having that kind of situation for a child, it should be worrisome. They have taken a step moving out of where they lived before, but I think more should be done in providing help, medical help for the child. Then for the pedophile, I'm glad he has met his Waterloo, as it were. He has been arrested. He has been, we can say justice has been served. He has been sentenced to 21 years imprisonment. In this era of, careless exercise of prerogative of mercy, we just wish that nobody wakes up one day and grant him state pardon and all that. Because there's anybody that would want to serve out his term, it's people like this. I mean, if there should be, using local language, if there should be Jara in prison term, this kind of person deserves it, because this is a life that has been altered for good. Look at it now, that child can't go back to school. And even if after some medical help, she's able to go back to school, some years has been lost. And then a child having a child is not a wonderful thing. That child is going to live with that trauma for the rest of her life. The said child would one day ask questions. So I'm happy that to some extent justice has been served. I hope the justice will be seen through by the man serving it all through. And I also hope that such other pedophiles around would be apprehended, and until we get the last of them off our street, we shouldn't rest getting them off, thanks to FIDA, thanks to the CD, that's the community, the CDC also, that helped in making the arrest possible. Yeah.
Now, I mean. For this magnitude of this crime committed, like you earlier mentioned, you talked about how this girl is just a child, primary 6. Some people in primary 6 are usually even 9-year-old, and even though the federal government, the Senate did pass a new law as regards, child rapists, abuse of children, now gives a life imprisonment punishment, now attracts a life imprisonment punishment. Do you think 25 years is enough, especially given the fact that the Minister for Women Affairs was actually calling for the capital punishment on child rape?
Capital punishment, the world is moving away from capital punishment now, and even over the years, those who have gotten capital punishment, who have been sentenced to death, you find that political officers, the governors and the rest of them, the president, who are in a position to sign the death warrant, find it difficult to sign. So eventually, most of those people who even get death sentence don't get killed, but at least they've been put away, they remain on death row, which is fine, but as it is now, the world is moving away from that. 21 years may look like it's not what, or is not up to it for the volume of crime committed. But if that is what the law has prescribed, we can't fault the judicial officers for doing that if they stayed within the law, except we have a proof that that fellow didn't get the right sentence according to the law. Then, 21 years is actually quite a lot of time to spend behind bars. But if you ask me, the most important thing for society is that these people are off the street. And what would happen to him within that 21 years? This is a 63-year-old man. Would he even live up to 21 years? But let's even say for younger people, let's say a pedophile, somebody that was jailed maybe when he was 40 and he got 21, he will be coming out at 60. 61 or 60 something. At that age, he may still inflict harm to society. So beyond the length of time, which is important, I'm glad we don't even have a case of being sentenced to 5 years or here, so 21 years. But beyond that length of time, whether 21 is big or small, it's what happens while this character is kept away from society. Is there some reform going on? Is this person going to come out, as a further threat to society, or when he comes out, society would be better off? He would have had a rethink. I think that's the most important thing for us. Within that 21 years, he's locked away. There should be some reform in his mind. So when he eventually comes out, he won't come out to endanger society for further. Then another thing is this: if it were within me, to people like this, within that 21 years, apart from the fact that the reform is going on, there should also be a monitoring to see if he's imbibing this reform process. So in case he doesn't fully get the reform he needs, whether it is the fault of society or not, but he comes out not getting the society should keep an eye on him to ensure that he doesn't further endanger people, because when he comes out, he will certainly be in society of people. So if somehow those who keep him, those who monitor him during this period are not satisfied of his conduct after the 21 years, would he be released? Yes, since the law says so. But there should be, a system to monitor him to ensure that he doesn't further endanger society.
Thank you very much. Now let's briefly dive a little bit away from here regard the new bill by Senate to say child rapists are going to, serve a time of life imprisonment. If you weigh that law side by side, do you think it's going to act as a deterrent when you weigh it by Madagascar's law of castration? Madagascar's law for child abuse and child rape is actual castration, right? Do you think that this Madagascar's law being stringent would act as a deterrent more than this our law or this Nigerian new bill that was passed for life imprisonment? Because 21 years, someone reading this report that does the same thing, you know, it's usually a case of, oh, so it's so sad that that happened to that man. Maybe it's not going to happen to me. 21 years, it's, you know, when we were younger and around that period when I was growing up, some people, you hear people say things like, oh, you don't know me, I am Sanko tested. I don't know if you ever got to hear about that. Like, okay, I have prison experience. I've been to prison. Do you think, you know, when cases like this are handled in this manner, which this was handled, which I'm really glad, you know, that we got victory for this girl at last. I mean, there has been a sentencing, some form of closure, right, to some degree. Not, she doesn't seem fully healed to me, but some form of closure, right? Do you think that at any point, this judgment, if someone that is in their early stage of pedophilia, or they're about to go into it actively, or they're already actively in it, do you think this will be a deterrent, or we should move to more stringent method of stopping this?
For any right-thinking person, if you know what 21 years is, I mean, 21 years of your life is a whole lot. Right. It should serve as a deterrent to that person. Well, you know, the danger of going the extreme way could be in the case of miscarriage of justice. We have seen both in Nigeria and other crime, you know, especially in societies where they have a way of reviewing judgment. We see people who has been sentenced for certain crimes over the years. It was found, I mean, recently there was one, is in US or UK, that a guy who was sentenced for murder, it was later found out that even the confession he's made was not, it was obtained under duress, so he had to be released. I think some compensation paid, but we are not there yet as a society. So it is for these reasons that one would, you know, be cautious about calling for extreme measure. Now, you can imagine these societies where it has been revealed that, oh, that guy that was jailed for murder, that guy was jailed for so crime, didn't actually commit that crime, even though at the time all the evidence seems to point to that. But as years went by, new evidence showed that this person was innocent. Imagine if that person has, I mean, one of them came out at a very old age, another one already died in prison, you know, but, you know, the court comfort to the family was that their loved one has his name cleared of all wrongdoing, even in death, you know. And imagine a situation where extreme measures have been taken and that person has been killed, and we find out that, you know, it was a miscarriage of justice. You can't undo that. So when you have long-term imprisonment, life imprisonment, when you discover a miscarriage of justice, yes, you may not be able to restore the wasted years, but at least the court comfort is that the person can pick up his or her life from where he left off. You know, so that's why, for me, I would be careful in calling for extreme measures. Even here in Nigeria, I mean, we had one former Nigerian footballer, I think it was Etimeku or so, who was, you know, accused of rape or something like that. I can't remember the story now, but I think the story was that it was eventually, you know, said to be a setup or something like that, you know. So it is for those cases that one would be careful about calling for miscarriage. But if it will have a case of repeated offenders, maybe more stringent measures should be taken, because if the first one was, you know, you were wrongly accused, I mean, we probably don't have just the same person being wrongly accused over time. And like there's an Igbo saying that says that if every time I throw a stone or something, maybe I may not get the right English word, and it falls into the toilet, the question to ask would be, my shot, I mean, every time I fire a shot, it falls into it. The question to ask would be, my shot, were they designed for the toilet or toilet? So if every time you keep claiming that you were wrongly accused, then the question should be, maybe there's something wrong in your behavior. But having said that, this is the reason I think I would be cautious in calling for extreme measures. But the most important thing is to ensure that we get pedophiles and other criminals off our street. We ensure that where infractions has happened, justice is served, so as to offer some kind of reprieve to the victims. You know, there's a way serving of justice. It may not undo the harm that has been done, but it could serve as a good comfort.